Good evening, everybody. My name is Victor Naro. I work at the UCLA Labor Center. I'm also a proud member of the executive board of the National Lawyers Guild LA chapter. So I am here to present the Legal Worker Award to Neidi Dominguez. So Neidi's birthday is on Monday. So, she celebrates her birthday Monday, but I want my words of praise for Neidi to be also my birthday present to her today. I worked with Neidi for so many years, and I just want to give you some highlights of Neidi Dominguez and what she's meant for me and many others in the movement. Yesterday night, I actually heard a great story about Neidi when she was 6 years old. She came home from school one day in Pasadena without any, shoes on, and her mother asked her, "Where are your shoes?" And Neidi said, "I gave them to somebody who didn't have any shoes." I met Neidi when she was 14 years old in Pasadena. We belong to this great organization called IDEPSCA, which organizes immigrant communities throughout California. And when I met her when she was 14 years old, and she was organizing middle school children in her school for better educational opportunities. As a 14-year-old, she formed a group in Pasadena called Teens in Action. And this group of young activists, many of them middle school children, were responsible for really challenging the inequalities in the school system in Pasadena. Neidi moved on to college, to Santa Cruz, and she graduated in 3 years with honors. And she co-founded a Dreamer organization to work on behalf of dreamers, because Neidi herself is a dreamer. And she founded an organization called Students Informant now at UC Santa Cruz, which today is one of the best student groups organizing dreamers here in California. So I want to talk now about Neidi's work as a leader in the movement for immigrant rights. We all remember 1 year ago today, Neidi and 4 of her colleagues, dreamers, challenged the system by taking on homeland security here in Los Angeles. They actually got arrested at the office, the prosecutor's office of Immigration Customs Enforcement here in Los Angeles. And that arrest, they got arrested, they spent time in jail, they risked everything for the sake of moving forward with this great movement around the country to pass the DREAM Act. It was that arrest that led to an effort by Neidi and others to challenge the White House, to change their policy, to come out for administrative relief for dreamers in this country. Neidi herself went to Washington, D.C. After she got arrested, she went to Washington, D.C., met with the White House officials, and she challenged the administration, and she also made it clear to them that she gave them an ultimatum. She made it clear to the White House that if they didn't pass administrative relief for the millions of dreamers in this country, that they were going to go public with a massive campaign against the administration. 2 weeks later, President Obama declared the administrative relief for undocumented students, undocumented young people in this country. And that effort on behalf of the dreamers has taught many of us in the immigrant rights movement what true organizing is all about, and how you risk yourself, taking the risk within the context of a strategy brings you important victories. Today, Neidi is also fighting, she's not only engaged in the efforts to continue fighting for the DREAM Act for millions of dreamers, but she's today involved with organizing car wash workers here in Los Angeles. And Neidi is the strategic campaign coordinator for the Clean Car Wash campaign, which is a major campaign that the National Lawyers Guild is fully supporting in Los Angeles. So I put together in words last night, late and early this morning, and I want to end with these words of what Neidi has taught me about leadership, about organizing, about being a community advocate. She helped me to understand that true justice lies not in the laws that are created by policymakers or in the laws that are interpreted by judges, but true justice lies in the hearts of community members who are impacted by all these issues that we fight for. And that we need to realize that, because we don't fight for justice out of a vacuum. Justice is already there in the hearts of these people. We just have to give them the space and the opportunity for them to fight for it. Neidi also taught me about how to deal with privileged status. I think many of us in this room are lawyers. For many years, we've been fighting great fights. Many of us are going to become lawyers and legal advocates. And it's a privileged status that we have. And we have to really embrace that and not deny it. And Neidi has taught me that never let your privileged status control you when you deal with the people out there in the community who are impacted by all the issues that we deal with, whether it be car wash workers, day laborers, or dreamers. We always have to be conscious of that. She also taught me that it's about the relationship that we build versus the task. I mean, I think many of us involved in major fights, major campaign, major legal battles, they always think about it in terms of the task, but not about the relationship that we form. And that's more important than anything else, is those critical relationships that you form in the process of us fighting together. And what Neidi has taught me about leadership is it's not about leading the struggle, it's about being part of the struggle. And so I want to end by saying that I'm almost 50 years old now. I've been doing this kind of work for 30 years. But when I finally grow up, I want to be like Neidi Dominguez. So Neidi.
Thank you. Oh, Victor, you totally just made me cry. I just want to say thank you and try to stop crying. It's really an honor to get this award in front of so many of the people I look up to and the people that I consider my mentors and my teachers. And I really wanted to first ask you for a favor and actually really thank the woman that is the most responsible for what I do. She says she's responsible only for the good things I do. So, mamá, ¿te puedes parar, por favor? That's really the woman that is responsible for what I do. And if it wasn't for my mother deciding that my sister and I deserved a safe household and decided to leave home back in Mexico and cross the border against many odds, I would not be the person that I am today. I want to thank her for that. I also want to thank two very special people in the audience today, including Victor and Betty, that have been great mentors and such supporters of me. I really look up to you, Victor, as a father figure in my life and a great legal mentor. And Betty, you're the most amazing big sister I didn't have. So thank you for that. Yeah. And I just wanted to share a little story of how we won the defer action. And I think that I really feel like I've been really blessed and to be around people that have been able to share so many of their skills and talents, but more than that, really believe in the potential that young activists have in this country to change the course of this country, to really turning the tide and really fighting against these anti-immigrant but really racist laws that we are living in right now. And one of the stories I wanted to share in that whole fight for the DREAM Act still, but the defer action was, you know, I want to go to law school one day, and I hope that it will happen very soon, and I actually not hope, but because there's so many people in the audience that are waiting for it, I will do it very soon. But I really have learned so much for being around attorneys that really believe in organizing and really understand their role as one more member in a team. And the type of way that they are part of the fights is not imposing anything or not thinking that they have the solutions, but rather contributing to the strategy with people that are most affected by the issue. And with that in mind, you know, when we decided to push for administrative relief, it was really in a thought of, you know, we've tried the legislative process and they failed us. You know, Republicans filibustered the DREAM Act in December 2010, but Democrats too were coward to vote for the DREAM Act, and we were short 4 votes. So we needed to try something new. We knew that going in the courts and fighting the, you know, immigration cases, we understood that those were case-by-case cases, that we needed to fight them one by one, but we weren't going to be able to really achieve relief and protection and stop the deportations of mass numbers of people in court, that we needed to continue to organize. And so many undocumented youth across the nation had come out of the shadows and declared themselves to be undocumented and unafraid, that we really owed it to ourselves to continue to organize and not go back into the shadows. And so I was sitting at Betty's house, because back then we were roommates, and I had this thought of, well, in 11th grade AP government class, we learned that there's 3 branches to this government. There's the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. We have tried fights in 2, but not one of them, the executive branch. And I wondered, how would a fight look like really pressuring and targeting the president, President Obama, to use his authority, how he uses it to declare war in countries, but to do it for a better reason, to do it for a good reason, and to do it to really bring relief to thousands and millions of undocumented youth in the country. And in that thought, I remember telling Betty, like, how do executive orders work? And we started thinking about it. And I soon enough started sharing with Victor, started sharing with other mentors that I have here in LA. And everybody was just so excited to think about this strategy, to think about how can we gain anything through the administrative side. But what was even more, for me, even more of a learning lesson was how integral it was that we were part of the legal research, we're part of, you know, constructing that proposal to push onto the White House about what we wanted. And to have people like Betty and Joyce Noche and other lawyers to tell us, like, what do you guys want? You know, so now this is what the law says, this is what we've learned, and we would be part of those conversations, but what do you want? And to really be part of that, to create a plan of how they could grant administrative relief to undocumented youth was a very amazing experience for me, because I learned then that you really don't need to go to law school to understand how laws affect your life, but rather understood that going to law school was just going to give me more tools, to continue to push these laws and continue to learn about them and how they affect our lives every day. And when we went to the White House, so a year ago, yesterday, I was arrested inside the ICE prosecutor's office, and 6 months later, we were at the White House, so we had our counsel, and we were going to meet with their counsel, but we needed more than just arguing. We knew that if we were going to go in behind closed doors and tell them about how we believed they had legal authority to do this, was really not going to do any good, because they kept on saying they had no authority to do this. So we were smarter than that. We were organizers. And so we said, how about we get a letter from law professors that say how he does have legal authority to give us administrative relief. And not only that, but how about we make it public the morning of that we're meeting with them, so that they know that not only we know that and 100 professors know that, but a whole country knows that, and that they can't hide behind those closed doors to give us an answer. And that's exactly what we did. On May 29, 2012, we met with the White House, not inside the White House because I'm still undocumented, and so they wouldn't allow us into the White House because we had to go to a background check. But near the White House, in a town home, we sat with our attorneys and ourselves across the table with their attorneys, and we told them about administrative relief. We explained to them how they had used deferred action, and not only that, but how John Lennon was the first person that they used deferred action to keep him inside the country, and how they could do that for all of us. And we told them, and it's not just us, but here's a letter from 100 law professors that say we are right, and here is what we want. And they quickly understood that they couldn't bullshit us, and that they were really gonna have to, tell us why they wouldn't do it. And it was no longer about the legal authority, but it was all about political cover. And because we knew that, then at the end of that conversation about how they did have legal authority, and we explained to them exactly what we wanted, they asked, is there anything else? And I said, yes, there is. You have till June 12th to give us an answer, and if you don't, we're ready to escalate in places like North Carolina, Colorado, Nevada, all the swing states. And they knew what we were talking about. They knew what we were capable of. And June 15, we had the announcement from President Obama. 2 days after, dozens of undocumented youth started doing sit-ins inside the Obama for America offices. And I share this story not, and look for glory or praise, but really to show a lesson learned in organizing, that when we don't back down, when we do our homework and all the different angles and think of a diverse strategies and tactics, but we don't compromise on what we want, and we push and we demand like we should because it's our rights, that then we can do something, because then we have shifted the power back to who it belongs, to the people. And so and probably the hardest moments of our campaigns were, I would see my mother cry while she was watching me being arrested, or seeing my stepfather suffer through colon cancer, but still so supportive of my work. And, I really dedicate this to him. He passed away last year, a month right after I got arrested. And so last year, during this time, we were having very difficult times in our family, but the quote that really kept me going was one that I want to leave you with, and I hope that you find it as inspiring as it has been for me. And it goes this way: it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Asata Shakur. Thank you.